Great, we're going live.
Lovely, we did it. I love you, Tim. I wish I could give you a big hug and sit in your teepee and drink your beautiful haldi dood.
Great, thank you so much. Welcome everyone. Welcome. Well, it's good to be on Buddhafields live on Facebook. Here's Uma, coming to teach the Yoga Nidra this morning.
Here we are. Hello, lovelies. Welcome. Good morning, beauties. Welcome, Hilly. Welcome, Deepak, Joanna, Roma, Mokshitara, Pippa, everybody who's here. Look at you, lovely beings. Well done. You come to practice the beautiful meditation of Yoga Nidra, the heart-based meditation, which you do lying down, which is so lovely. So basically, all you need to do is lie down and you will hear my voice. And you need to be warm enough. I mean, a lot of you are experts at this and you already know what you're doing. I can see you're all settled in there. It's looking good in Trafford House. Yay, looking good. So even though you feel quite warm now, I know some of you have got your shorts on and all that kind of thing, you might want to cover up because we have an hour together. I'm hoping at some point you'll have another voice, which is my lovely other half. Nirlipta may emerge at some point, but he's doing his own practice right now. So that sometimes takes him off in places where he's beyond time, that person. So, all right. Is there anything you want to ask before we start? Because I keep my eyes open. I keep on the chat box. Anything happens, like the sound goes a bit weird or anything like that, then you just let me know. I'm going to turn down the sound on my computer, and then if everybody's muted, we're good to go, aren't we? Oh, lovely, looking beautiful. And welcome to our lovely friends in Facebook. Welcome to the people in the Zoom room. I'm going to do a little sound check. Can you hear my voice even if I whisper gently to you? Is that going to be okay? Is that audible? All good, thumbs up. All right, and these, I don't want them to be too loud, so I've got elemental chimes here. Is that going to be all right? They're not too loud? Because yesterday I did them quite far away. So they sound, and there's also 2 kittens in this house, which can you hear them scratching? I'm just gonna move the kittens so they don't make a bad noise, and you get settled. You might want a pillow under your head. If you've got a bolster or a pillow, put it under your knees a little bit so your back's set up, and we get you all sorted. We'll do a little invocation. And then at the end, that's looking good. Lovely. Everybody comfortable. Let me just deal with these very noisy kittens and stop them making a noise. Kittens, what are you scratching? Oh, you've done your thing, so it's okay. Right. There you go. Bit too much information there. Kitten business is done. Okay, lovely. So welcome home to yourselves. I'm going to be with you and see if there's anyone else waiting to join us here, but I think we're all here. Beautiful. Lovely. Oh, thank you, Tim, for opening up the shop. And now is a beautiful time to do Yoga Nidra, because you may have had some morning practice this morning. You may have just woken up. And all of this is good. We're going to settle down just as you feel is the most comfortable way to do. Take a big yawn and a sigh. And we will connect with the universal sound of relaxation, which is the awesome sound of ah. So let out a big ah, and see if you could release your jaw as you do it. And no one can hear you because you're all on mute, so you can make as much noise as you like. Ah, lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Maybe take 2 or 3 more so that the sound of the ah, can allow the weight of your body to settle down into the earth beneath. Oh, I think we were actually supposed to record this as well. So I'm going to press the record button. I think that's something. There we go. So it's just recording the audio. There we go. Recording that. So welcome home to yourselves. Welcome to your morning practice of total Yoga Nidra, the yoga of sleep, a heart-based meditation upon the extraordinary space, the liminal space between sleeping and waking, between waking and sleeping. And in these two magical liminal spaces, we will journey together whilst remaining absolutely and completely in the room. So the first thing to do is just notice the surface upon which you're resting, and whatever you're lying upon, just sense that you could notice all the places where the body is really being met by that surface, and sense that when you breathe out, when you exhale with a bit more of an that you could release the whole of the weight of this body down into the earth beneath. So through the surface upon which you're resting, down through the floor, down into the earth beneath, down into the welcome which this earth has for you. So breathing your way down into the welcome which the earth has for you. And sense that the weight of this body with each exhale is like a gift. And you can give it away, give it away, give it away. Give away the weight of this body down into the earth beneath. And be received, so that you feel yourself right here in this space being welcomed into a space of the nourishing rest. And as you rest, you might want to be aware of all of the sounds which you can hear in the space in which you're resting, and the sounds which you can hear in this space from which I'm speaking. And actually, as you settle, it's as if you're resting at the center of a great big circle of sound, which is including this funny little kitten. So I'm going to just invite you to connect with the sounds you can hear in your space, above you and beneath you, maybe even. Could you hear those sounds? The ones that are really, really far away, like you're kind of extending the awareness out into the circle at the center of which this being is resting. And that could include sounds above you as well as beneath you. And as the world of this body rests, maybe you could hear sounds to the north and sounds to the south. You could hear sounds to the east and to the west. And honoring and welcoming the sounds from all the directions. Even the sounds within, perhaps, sounds within, and the sounds coming to you from this broadcast, which includes a small voice, which I will now ensure leaves the room. So I'm still here, I'm just allowing the door to be open so that we can let the little cat go out. And as the body rests and all those sounds continue, allow the sounds to be welcome. There's a sweetness of welcome, because the sweeter the welcome for all of the sounds, the deeper the settling. It's almost like you could actually, whilst welcoming all of the sounds in all the directions, you could settle down beneath the sounds. And that each exhale gives the weight of the body away down into the earth, but also allows you to settle beneath all the sounds that there are. So it really doesn't matter what sounds there are, even in the noisiest place. You could settle down beneath the sounds and tune into the sound which is perhaps the most intimate sound, the sound of your own breath. And that sound, very centrally, right at the middle of this circle of settling, you could hear that sound of the breath coming in, and it carries its own little sound its own voice, listening to the voice of the breath. The breath voice coming in and going out, maybe just traveling through the nostrils, and you could notice how far in does this breath come and how far out does it go. And maybe as the breath comes in and out, you could welcome its own little voice, which is the mantra of the breath. And it's not a mantra that you need to say, it's something perhaps that could be heard. And the yogis say that if you listen into the breath, you can hear that as it comes in, it makes this little sound of so on breath in. And then as the breath travels out, a bit like the waves traveling out, they go hum. And it's a mantra that can be felt maybe as much as heard. And you can just listen to what it is that you hear with the breath, but you can also welcome this sound of the voice of the breath. Each mantra, each breath in, so, and each breath out, hum. And listening to the voice of the breath as the body rests upon this earth. And perhaps with listening, the breath can come to a place where you're able to just invite a little balance, like an equanimity of breath. As if it comes all the way up the body on its sound of so, and all the way down the body on the sound of hum. And perhaps there's a balance there, so that it takes about the same amount of time to breathe in as it does to breathe out. It takes about the same amount of time to breathe in as it does to breathe out. Maybe just noticing the arrival of a coherent kind of breath that's a bit balanced and easy, not in any complex way, but just allowing maybe there to be an observation here. An observation. An observation of a balance of the breath. It's about 6 seconds on the way in, maybe about 6 seconds on the way out. And so some resters like to count, and some simply like to notice, yes, the breath is coming in now, and yes, the breath is going out now. And in its own sweet little voice, its own sweet little measured traveling, breath comes into a space of easy balance. No stress. Just letting it come and go, and letting it be balanced. And if that arises now, that coherence, that balance can just extend to the whole of the world of this body, not just the respiratory system, but all of the different systems of the body. It's as if they're being invited, gently conducted into the rhythm of this easy breath coming in and the breath going out. And noticing, yes, the breath is coming in. Now, how far in does it come? And yes, the breath is going out now. And how far out does that go? As if the breath maybe were flowing through the land of the body, the way that the waters move through the body of the earth. The way that the waters move through the body of the earth. And each breath that comes in and goes out with even that sound of the so and the hum. Even that sound of the so and the hum. comes into an easy balance with the rhythms of life, restoring the rhythmic cycles of healing and rest, with no intention other than simply to be and to know that the whole of you and every breath is welcome. The whole of you and every breath is welcome. And knowing that simply to be here is enough. That there isn't anything to do, simply to be. And whatever arises, the sounds and the breath is all just as it is, just letting it be. Just letting it be. So welcome home to yourself. And as the breath flows through the land of the body, let a fluid awareness maybe travel with the breath, visiting every place in the body as if a sacred pilgrimage were underway, an effortless traveling of the awareness through the body, visiting each place with a greeting, a respectful greeting for each place, and just giving every place the permission simply to be, simply to rest into a place of deep nourishment, the nourishment of rest, as if fluidly the awareness could travel just to that space at the very tip of the tongue. You welcome that space as the body rests. There's no need for movement. If movement arises, that's fine. It's just whatever arises is going to be fine. If the body needs to move or to wriggle, that's all welcome too. But perhaps the body settles into a deeper state of stillness and rest. And if there was anything that you could do, you should bring the awareness to the tip of the tongue, anything to really settle the body a little bit more deeply, maybe even 0.5% more comfortable. You're invited to do that too. Or to settle deeply into stillness and to welcome the waters, the fluid movement of awareness in the waters of the saliva inside the mouth, noticing the tongue resting and all the different taste sensations that are there. And welcoming this element of water to move through the land of the body, the weight of the body like the earth. And the waters in the body, like the rivers and the rivulets, the streams, and the little lakes and pools, maybe a little lake and pool of saliva inside the mouth, noticing the teeth resting, the space between the upper teeth and the lower teeth, noticing the insides of the cheeks and the tongue, just resting, because nothing needs to be said, nothing needs to be said. And so let the tongue rest in the floor of the mouth, and let the taste sensations simply be there. And as the awareness travels, maybe to the lips, you can notice the touch of the moistness between the two lips. And noticing the breath on the upper lip. You could notice that. Moving through, noticing the breath slightly warmer maybe as it goes out. And welcoming this gentle movement and the warmth of the breath, warmed by the body as it travels out. Perhaps you could notice the touch of the air inside the nostrils and then the touch of the air on the eyelids maybe. And notice that in behind the eyelids, where the eyes are simply bathed by the moistness, by the tears, inside of the eyelids, gently touching the eyes and gently bathed by the moistness there, and maybe noticing that the light resting on the eyelids and noticing what could be seen, welcoming in the element of fire. Whatever is warm in the body is welcome. And noticing also how it might be to welcome whatever is visible. In behind the closed eyes, whatever is visible is welcome. Connecting with the element of fire through the capacity of vision, the capacity to see. And welcoming the touch of the air over the eyelids and the eyebrows, and maybe between the two eyes, right eye resting, left eye resting. And then noticing how it is to bring the awareness with this touch of the air in the land of the body over the brow, like a brow of the hill in the land of the body, visiting each place on this sacred pilgrimage of gifting rest to every place, the temples, the right and left temple, and then through to the ears. Noticing the different sounds that are there coming in, my voice and the sounds in the space where you're resting, and noticing the touch of the air on the right ear and on the left ear, and the touch of the air and the sound vibrations. Maybe you could feel the sound vibrations coming in through the spaces of the outer ear and into the spaces in the inner ear, and noticing the touch of the air on the cheeks also, the two ears, right and left, resting, and the cheeks, left and right, resting, and then into the back of the head. Maybe you could notice in the back of the head, the hair on the head, the touch of the hair on the head. Every hair is welcome in this sacred pilgrimage over the land of the body. The back of the head and the skull resting, and down through the back of the neck and into the jaw, through the jaw and the chin and the throat. As if the awareness could travel gently down into that little space between the two collarbones. Maybe notice the right collarbone and the left, and bring the awareness into the little space between the two collarbones. As if in that space, rest could be gifted to the throat, and out from there along the two shoulders, as if two little twin slopes of the shoulders might receive this fluidity of awareness, as if little streams of awareness could flow down over the shoulders and into the armpits. And from the armpits along, right armpit and left, into the arms, right arm and left, all the way along through the little gentle dip at the elbows, the left elbow and the right, into the forearms and the wrists, so that the awareness travels and travels and travels all the way through down into the palms of the hands. Could you notice the palms of the hands? Receiving all the touch sensations in the backs of the hands, receiving all the different touch sensations on the skin, you know, on the back of the hands as the hands rest, because nothing needs to be done. Nothing needs to be done in this openness of awareness, which is Yoga Nidra. Welcoming the tips of all of the fingers into deep rest. The tips of the right thumb and left. The tip of the left index finger and the right. The tip of the right middle finger and the left. The tip of the left fourth finger and the right. Settling into rest. The tip of the right little finger and the left. All of the fingertips, the thumbs resting, the hands resting. And the sacred presence of this pilgrimage awareness traveling all the way through, from the fingertips up through the arms and the hands, into the armpits and deep into the space deep into the space, deep into the space of all of the thoracic cavity, into the space of the heart. And as the breath settles and the awareness travels on this sacred pilgrimage around the world of the body into the space of the heart, behind the breastbone, and then just in the head, in the center there, in front of the two shoulder blades, in the space between the two shoulder blades. And as the awareness travels there, can allow there to be a welcome for the nourishment of rest in that space of the heart and all the way through. Welcoming rest into this being, into the world of this body as the awareness travels down into the belly. Welcoming all sensations arising in perception in the space of the belly. Welcoming all sensations arising in perception in the whole of the lower back and down through the buttocks and into the pelvis. In the world of the pelvis, the buttocks and the groins and all of the organs within, resting. And the whole pelvis resting, and down as the awareness travels like the streams of awareness traveling along the thighs, right thigh and left thigh and right. Bring the awareness into the knees, left knee and right knee and left, and down through the shins and the calves and into the ankles. Right ankle and left ankle and right. And letting the awareness be there in the soles of the feet, in the tips of the toes, 2 big toes and second toes, 2 third toes and fourth toes, and the little toes. And the whole body resting now from the soles of the feet to the crown of the head. And from the crown of the head to the soles of the feet. Inside and out. This body resting. Maybe the mind alert, watching all of this. The outside of the body and the inside of the body resting. The north and the south. And the awareness traveling through the whole body. As the awareness rests both inside and out, how would that be? In this space of awareness, which is Yoga Nidra, simply being. In this space of deep and nourishing rest. Simply to be here is enough. Simply to be here is enough. Simply to be here is enough, and to know that the whole of the sacred world of this body, the holy land of the body, is deeply nourished by this rest. And you have a choice at this point, simply to rest here, or maybe little movements are needed after this period of rest. Simply listening in the way we listened into the voice of the breath, the soul and the hum. Listen in now and feel, does this land need to move? Does the breath, the wind of the breath need to move through the land of the body? And if so, take a little stretch maybe. As the practice unfolds, we find ourselves kind we're around halfway through our time together. And so there's the option to readjust, maybe to change position, or maybe to remain totally still as you open the ears to other voices arising. And opening the ears to other voices arising, you can welcome in the sound of Nirlipta's voice and that he's here with you.
Here I am, and good morning to you. You can decide whether to move a little bit or just stay as you are. And I'll carry on, inviting you now to bring your attention to the crown of the head, the very top of the head, and to be aware of a slight sense of pressure there, how that feels. And to be aware also of a space between the eyebrows. What is it like to be aware of the distance between those 2 points, between the crown of the head and the eyebrow center? How is that? And there is a third point between these, as it were, in the very center of the head. The very center of the head, and the distance between that and the center of the place between the eyebrows. What is that distance like? Now just carrying on, being aware of that. And the space between the center of the head and the top of the head. What is that distance like? How near or far away are they from each other? It's curious to be aware of that space, of that distance, what that's like. And these 3 points form a triangle. So what is that like? What is the shape of that triangle like? How is that? And the space that is encompassed by all of this. That's the sound of the battery being played with by 2 kittens. The space between these 3 points, the crown of the head, the eyebrow center, the center of the head. How is that? What is that like? You can let your awareness rest there, or let it move from the space between the eyebrows to the tip of the nose. The space between the eyebrows and the tip of the nose, what that distance is like. Or the distance between the tip of nose and tip of chin, how that is. In a sense as well that there is, in fact, a triangle formed here too. Eyebrow center, tip of nose, tip of chin. What that is like, how that is. How that is. And you can become aware now of another space. We're looking at points in the body and spaces and distances and how that is. the little hollow at the base of throat, the little hollow at the base of throat, and the space between that and the right shoulder. What is that like? I wonder. The distance from that little hollow at the base of throat and the right shoulder. Or the distance between base of throat and left shoulder. How about the space between both of the shoulders? Or the space between both shoulders and base of throat. What is that like? How is that? What is the space like encompassed within this triangle? And the space between both shoulders and the center of breastbone. How is that? Another kind of triangle. What that is like. How that is. There's even a space between the center of the breastbone and the navel. And what that is like. How that is. The sense of distance, of space, of being near to each other or further away. And a distance from the navel to the base of pelvic floor, what that space is like. How is that? What's that like for you right now? The distance between the pelvic floor and right hip. The distance between pelvic floor and left hip. Between one hip and the other. What that space is like. In the triangle formed by right hip, by left hip, by pelvic floor. There's even a distance that you can be aware of, if you like, between pelvic floor and crown of head. Between pelvic floor and crown of head. What that space is like, that distance. And even though the distance in terms of centimeters or inches is quite measurable, the internal experience of that distance might be one which is quite immeasurable. It might be something else. There is in addition a space. We were looking yesterday at ovals, so you can be aware of an oval there at the crown of head, bright, shiny golden oval. One at the pelvic floor, a deep red oval. And one in the space of the heart. It might be a golden oval or blue or green or something along those lines. It's your experience. What is that like? The experience that even though this is a straight line, it can also be a triangle. 3 points, crown of head, pelvic floor, space of heart. How is that? How is that? So you can be aware with all of this, these different triangles facing in different directions. How would this be if they all faced in the same direction, if they were all in the same plane, as if they were all parallel to each other, or like pieces of paper that could be placed one on top of the other. They're still facing in the same direction, but they're also in alignment. How is that? What is that experience like for you? So there is another space that you can be aware of. And this space is one that is behind the back, behind the spine. It's not in the same place for everyone. But one way of describing it is to think of it as being an oval shape, a dark oval, and that it is in fact behind the space of the heart. So imagine that it kind of stretches out or reaches out and is somewhere behind, and that as well as being a dark oval, it is an oval of emptiness, of space, a void, if you will. And what is the distance between this oval, this dark void, and the space of the heart, the oval there? How is that? You can, in fact, feel that you can let your awareness, your attention, your center of being rest back in or towards this dark oval, this void, this emptiness, this space, one that can be quite familiar, one in which the center of being can rest without having to do anything. You know, it's a place that's always been there, always has been. But sometimes we can have an inkling that it's there, and sometimes we can direct our attention deliberately there. And rather than just focusing on spaces and ovals and triangles, there can be something active, if that's preferable. Remember, the breath is always there, always with you. And as it continues breathing in and out and moving the abdomen and the rib cage slightly, you can let the awareness of it travel up and down the body, up towards the top of the head on the inhale, down the length of spine towards tailbone, pelvic floor on exhale. Just letting it happen. You can be aware of the ovals if you like, the deep red oval in the pelvic floor, the golden oval in the space of the heart, in the spine, a bright, shiny, large golden oval at the top of head. And awareness travels as the breath travels up, inhaling, down, exhaling. As well as this, some part of the attention, consciousness can rest in this deep, dark oval behind. And just carrying on like that. Resting, breathing, awareness moving with the inhale and with the exhale. And how that is, what that is like for you. right now. And for the rest of the practice, we can play. One of the ways of playing with awareness is that we've been focusing on these different things, and it's as if we can turn our attention, we can switch it off and on. So we have this awareness of the spine, of the ovals, at top of head, pelvic floor, space of heart, and the enigmatic dark oval somewhere behind that. We have the triangles formed by the crown of head, between eyebrows, center of head. The triangle formed by eyebrow center, tip of nose, tip of chin. Triangle formed by the little hollow at base of throat, right shoulder, left shoulder. A triangle formed by left shoulder, right shoulder, breastbone. A space between breastbone and navel. And a space between right hip, left hip, pelvic floor, and of course the space between pelvic floor, heart center, crown of head. An alignment of all of these together. The movement of the breath up and down the spine. These are several things to be aware of individually, collectively. That dark oval behind, always there, not doing anything, just being, as are the ovals. They have an awareness, an existence, a life of their own, as it were. It doesn't really matter what we do about them, they're just there. And the switching on and switching off, we can play with. One way of doing this is just for a few moments to let go of all effort completely, 100%, not doing anything, not paying attention to anything. The sound of my voice and the sense of your hearing will maintain a connection. So for a few moments, just be in your own space. Be in your own space for a little while. And then you can return awareness to one of, or some of, or all of these that we were doing just now. The awareness along the spine with the breath. A triangle formed by the bright shiny oval at top of head, the deep red oval at pelvic floor, the oval at space of heart. The distances between them, awareness of one of, or some of, or all of these other triangles, the one at the pelvic floor and both hip bones, the breastbone and both shoulders, the triangle formed by both shoulders and little hollow at base of throat, one formed by tip of chin, tip of nose, space between eyebrows. and the one formed by center of head, crown of head, eyebrow center. And there is a void, an oval, an emptiness behind the back, some distance away, in a place that feels very particular, one that you can even rest back in or fall back into, a kind of welcome home to some older, deeper part of yourself. And you're breathing. What would it be like to switch attention off for some of these areas of focus, but to let them remain in others? It might be the breath or the spine, some of these triangles or none of these triangles. It might be the dark oval behind. It might be even be awareness of thoughts or spaces between thoughts. I'm not sure what your experience is. I just know that your experience is there, that you're having it. It might even be a little frustrating, because when you're working with the deeper mind works very differently to the everyday mind. The less effort which is made consciously, the more that the deeper mind can engage with. Switching off some attention, even letting the sound of my voice, instead of being a series of words with meanings, just becoming a sound in the background, murmuring away, perhaps. Or being aware of the space that you're in, the space surrounding the body of the room that you're in, or the outside if you're outside, or the space inside if you're inside or outside, the internal space. The map that has been drawn of the geography of this internal world. And letting attention be at one place or moving between one and another, being aware of distance, being aware of space, being aware of the void, of the dark oval. Perhaps. And in the background, we have the sense, perhaps, that the space is guarded by a pair of kittens who seem to be very active between 8 and 8:30, guarding the space, making it safe, and letting their presence be felt. I invite you to focus on one thing now, one of these things. It might be awareness moving up and down the spine with the breath. It might be any of these triangles, dark, oval, the distances between these spaces, between these points, or the space itself. Or just letting go of all effort, and maybe having an awareness of not having to do anything, an awareness of space, of darkness, of something else, possibly. Just being aware. Being aware of yourself. Being aware. Being aware. And just being for a few moments. In a little while, when you begin the process of coming back to yourself, when you begin that process of coming back to yourself, find your center, perhaps a place within yourself that you can come back to. For some people, it's the space of the heart. For others, it's somewhere in the body. And for others, this space that we've mentioned, this dark oval void behind, can be another center. A sense of self, a sense of being. Whatever makes sense for you. Just being, noticing what that is like. And gently and kindly coming back to yourself, maybe breathing more deeply and feeling all parts coming together, integrating into one unified whole sense of self, Saturday morning person. Coming back, coming back, coming back. As this practice draws to a conclusion, how that is, what that's like. If you want to move and stretch, you're very welcome. If you want to just carry on resting there, lying there, that too is absolutely fine. So, however you are, I hope that you are reasonably well and that the rest of your day is also. I'm here for a few more minutes. If any of you want to have a meditative chat, or even if you want to talk, you can unmute yourself, and I'm happy to chit chat about what we've been doing, if you like. And at the end of a practice, it's quite nice to just hold on to where you've been and to let the resonance of that echo carry on. And thank you for having been here. A little query. Triangle after shoulders and little. We did another triangle with shoulders and breastbone. We did a number of triangles. Triangles just came to me. I hope that wasn't too unusual.
Did we do one with the heart?
Sorry, Tanya, can you just speak up a little?
Yeah, did we do a triangle with the heart?
Triangle with the heart, yeah. Well, what about it?
No, because I switched off at that point. So it was heart and what else?
Oh, the triangles after that. There was a triangle in the head, crown of head, center of head,
yeah,
eyebrow center. And then after that, there was a triangle of the hips and the pelvic floor. Okay. There was a triangle of the top and bottom of spine in the space of heart. And then there was an implicit triangle with the dark oval behind.
Okay, thank you.
Then I got you to they were in different plates to get them all to go in alignment with each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I switched off at some point. So.
Yeah, I work with a process called conscious overload, so that the everyday mind is often overloaded, but the deeper mind becomes very active, and then there's an integration, or there can be an integration.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's all right. No, thank you for coming. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, all of you. And yes, I hope you do enjoy the rest of your morning, the rest of your day. And we have another session tomorrow, is that right? Or is today the last one? I'm not sure. I'll ask Uma. She knows. I thought it was going on for 2 weeks, and she said, no. Tim said, no, it's only 2 or 3 days. So anyway, all right. So shall we leave? Shall we stop there for this morning then? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. Right. Bye for now.
Thank you.